Hello, Wrestle Buddies. Welcome back once again to Journey of a Pro Wrestler. It is our season finale with the lovely Billie Starkz. My name is Dan of the Sweet Show My podcast. Billie, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Well, we are always happy to have you back here talking with us. It is always an absolute pleasure. Okay, and we will get into our series finale. And I think what better place to end what time like the present, what time like the future. So, really, just to start off, kind of seeing how GCW has been going and the recent show in Japan. For you, what does it feel like kind of seeing that kind of thing happen?
It's like it's a growth on the indies, and it's a growth for GCW to be able to say that they're going internationally, and they have before, and they're going to continue to just spread this brand, and I'm happy to be part of. And that's also great for the wrestlers. I just love seeing all of my friends being able to travel the world and wrestle. Allie and Nick and Effie and all of these people are getting opportunities of a lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. And seeing a company become that kind of place where those say those dreams can come true, but also just show that independent wrestling is viable. It is a thriving thing.
I completely agree.
Kind of with that, then, for you, if we dig into Billie Starkz' vision, what do you see as like the big future, the big picture for Billie Starkz?
I just see wrestling. I honestly, that's what my dreams like pull me towards. And I don't know if that would be with a company or if it would be on the independents. I just want to continue having fun wrestling because that's what brings me almost the most joy in life.
Mm-hmm.
And if a job is fun, it's not a job. And if it's going to make it my living, I can't wait for that. That's what I see in my future. And hopefully it doesn't change.
Absolutely awesome. I mean, yeah, like that thing you say about like if it's fun, is it really a job? Well, so true.
I feel like it's so cheesy when you hear people say that, but then you're living that lifestyle and you're like, you're
Yeah,
right.
it maybe it is a bit cheesy, but like I think sometimes things that are cheesy have like a little bit of truth to them.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like something's got to be true enough if enough people keep saying it, right? Yeah, and kind of like you said, like whether or not that is with a company, we won't be doing that kind of speculation because who knows? No one knows what the future really brings in wrestling. Everything could be completely different in the next couple of years or the next year.
Yeah, like no one expected the pandemic and it still happened. And it definitely changed wrestling in a way.
No one expected that at all. But everyone had to find a way to adapt. Everyone had to find a way to move forward and keep doing what we enjoy watching and what people enjoy doing. So kind of thinking in like the in the long term, at least for now, what's like we're having technical difficulties. Don't worry about it, people. For you, what do you see? There we go. For you, what do you see as like the next goal that you are aiming towards? Like, what's the thing you have your eyes set on for now?
Honestly, getting done with school just being done with school and then being able to pursue wrestling and not have other responsibilities or that responsibility on my back. So my goal right now is just to finish school.
I mean, doing that while managing a wrestling schedule cannot be easy.
It's not, but I make it work.
We see the GCW Billie Starkz graduation ceremony.
Oh no. Brett would have a field day with that.
I can only imagine what Brett would have somehow come up with for that. In fact, I don't think it's worth thinking about. No, I think obviously, like you said, like with you having to balance school and with having to balance wrestling, on top of that, it's probably just like this super crazy thing of like mashing these two worlds together and like finally getting free from having to do all of that is probably like the best thing for you.
Definitely with like how I feel about school, it's not difficult for me. It's just like I know it's a responsibility I have to do. So I get it done because if it stays good, I don't have to worry about my mom worrying about it, and she'll help me more with wrestling. So I just look at that stuff. I'm like, I can do this. But once I don't have to do it anymore, I'm very, very excited to see what wrestling can truly bring me if I have more time for it.
Kind of then, again, kind of following on that, like this kind of broad theme. My head's just kind of filling up with stuff and questions and everything right now. How would I put this? This is what happens when your brain thinks of things and then comes up with more things afterwards. When it comes to managing that focus, when it comes to managing that, I guess almost like managing that workload that comes with it. Just like more as you see yourself get to that point where you're like, I don't have to do this anymore. This is what I can do. I'm sure that's like a amazing prospect for you. Like you said, like it's something you almost definitely look forward to.
Yes. And I feel like also it would be like a huge stress reliever of like, oh, I don't have to deal with this work anymore. Woo.
Yeah.
And now that I can actually focus on like work that I enjoy, which is wrestling.
Yeah. It's just extra time to watch tape, right? It counts. It counts as working. Just while you're like 4 hours deep into a playlist of wrestling matches.
There's always so much wrestling to watch, and I can always find something that I'm going to enjoy or I can pick apart.
It is the life of a professional. But yeah, like you said, kind of with that and that kind of that look towards like the full-time wrestling world. How exciting for you is that coming from like an independent wrestling perspective? The idea that you could, you're now in a world where you might be able to make a full-time living just with independent wrestling.
It's very scary because it's not a definite, like in my brain, it's like, it's not 100% possible. It's possible, but it's not like definitely going to happen.
Yeah, it's certainly not going to be easy.
Nothing's a guarantee in wrestling.
Yeah, nothing is ever easy.
Yes. So it is scary at a point, but I feel like if it's something I want, I can achieve it. And if I hit that point, I will truly be happy with everything I'm doing with wrestling and just my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I guess then kind of with that part of that, or part of what comes with that, again, let me get my words right, is kind of having those, like the second and the third plans, like running in mind. And I'm sure most of that is what like school is for, is like prepping you for like, well, what if things happen? And is that, I'm assuming that's something that's always been in your mind when you've been going through this process.
Yes, it's always like you have to have a backup plan for everything. That's what I've been taught growing up. And it's like, I don't know how my body's going to feel 5 years from now. I don't know where my mind's going to be or how I'm going to be taking care of myself. I hope it's going to be based off this thing that I'm investing my energy, my life into. But I truly don't know. And you can always have a backup plan, and your backup plan can have another backup plan. You just have to have some type of certainty in my brain of like, this is what I want to do, but also how am I going to just survive? How am I just going to live as a functioning human being?
Yeah. No, I think that is exactly. I mean, for anyone watching this or listening, always have a backup plan because it always helps. It is always helpful to have. So, kind of again, staying on this theme, looking to the future, I would like to try and get your thoughts into the future. We're going to try and like fortune read this. For you, what do you see as being like, I'm going to use a phrase I don't really like, but the next big thing in professional wrestling?
I would say traveling internationally, just being able to leave the States. I feel like that would be the next big thing for me in wrestling. Because I feel like once you leave, like where you're comfortable with, because I'm very comfortable with wrestling anywhere I go here, but there's wrestling culture that changes when you go to England or Australia or anywhere else. So I feel like that would be the next big step in my mind for wrestling.
Well, I can give you a tip for when you get round to visiting the UK. Give us something that we can chant and we'll love you.
I noticed this with Cole and Jordan when they were there. I was like, oh my God, they love it.
Give us something to chant loudly, all together in the crowd. We'll be happy.
It's surprising that that's all it takes because, like, in the US, like, it's so hard to get people to be on, like, the same page, especially for chants sometimes. And it's like, even in like great crowds, there's going to be one chant going off here and one chant going off there. And then sometimes it's just like a clapping crowd where it's like all you hear is just claps the entire time. And it's like, I want noise. Even when you watch like Japan shows, they don't chant or anything. It's like, oh, I'm going to praise you for what you're doing. And here's a clap. And I'm like, it's so strange because it's not the normal for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no. To prep you for coming to wrestle in the UK, you have to understand that within like the first 2 minutes of the bell ringing, maybe even less, a random person will have figured out a chant involving your name to the tune of a popular song, and then that will just start going around the entire venue.
I love how like creative it is too, because like when I've watched like Millie McKenzie's matches and they're singing like a whole song, and I'm like, this is great. I love it.
It is the way that us people do. Do you think that we'll be seeing more talent from the US independent scene traveling internationally now?
I would love to. That is definitely something that's in my game plan that I want to achieve.
Be like the start for everyone to just start branching out all over. because we've been very fortunate with some people over time. We get a few here and there. Recently, just had Effie and Ali Catch, which was awesome. But yeah, I think it would be awesome to see more people going around to more places, going around to new places, and I guess most importantly, just learning new things, adapting to new environments.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, like how do you prepare for an entire audience to just start doing a choreographed song and dance with your name involved?
And I feel like that's just like, especially with how I am, I'm like, I just can't wait for like the experience of it. And I feel like I am a very live and learn person. I have to live an experience to be like, to learn from it. And especially with wrestling, I feel like I've learned more just from being in a ring and having different challenges come, or just different experiences. And it's like, oh, this is cool, or this isn't cool. I'm going to stay away from this.
Yeah, it's kind of like when we spoke before, talking about like the ability, being able to adapt and be creative with what you have in mind and what you have planned, but also like just what happens around you, what you see and what you hear, and being like, oh, okay, well, they clearly like this, so let's go with it. Let's do this.
You got to give the people what they want.
You gotta give the people what they want. That's basically that's the easiest bit, isn't it? Kind of going off that then. We don't need like a long list. It can be as long or short as you like. But who are some of those people that you are seeing around now that you think either more people should know about, or that you think could really start to, hit the ground running, coming soon?
I have like a lot of people and just friends that I've seen grown so much over the last year. One being like Teriyaki. I feel like I find him so entertaining as a wrestler, and him just being a good person. I truly want to see him succeed in wrestling, and I find him so creative. And then, who else do I want to shout out? Rico Gonzalez. He just wrestled at Garden State. He's been killing it down in the South. I just want him to go to different areas because I find him so entertaining every time I watch him. And he's one of the people who I feel like can grow into a big star in the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely awesome. Yeah. Great choices, honestly. Yeah, and kind of, I think there's so many, I think almost now there's so many amazing and exciting people that are coming out right now. So many awesome people that are just like being picked up and found everywhere,
Yes. Wrestling is such a crazy lifestyle. I feel like so many people don't understand unless you're living in it.
Yeah, it is certainly a crazy world. I mean, I think that I don't think anyone's ever going to be here and say that wrestling is a normal world by any stretch. I think what other world are you in where it's just like, cool, like tonight I'm going through a table.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go beat up my friends. Woo!
I'm gonna go beat up my friends. Someone hits me with a chair. That's just what we do. Cool. So, if I can get my stuff right, I'm so sorry, people. I should be more prepared. This is what it's like when you're a creative and you just think of ideas. Where did I put it? Yeah. Because because I've managed to lose something, it doesn't matter. We'll just go with it. Kind of. I mean, we said like, what's the next big thing for you? But what do you see as like? I'm gonna say the next big thing in wrestling, like the next thing, or like the thing you'd want to see happen more.
Honestly, just the chance. I wish people got more chances. That like, it's hard to say like who deserves it and who doesn't. But I feel like wrestling doesn't give people like there's not enough spots for everybody, and I get that. But if there was just more opportunity, I just want to see opportunity grow and grow. And it's already happened with AEW becoming a company and the option of WWE and New Japan. And those are all options at like having a bigger stage for people. I would just love to see more of that in wrestling.
Awesome. Yeah, I think obviously like the opportunity has become so big, and there's so many things happening at once. It's almost like I feel like now it's probably quite easy to almost get lost in the shuffle of things. And so having more, more opportunities for people just to get into stuff, and it's been a conversation that's been going around for ages about like promoters paying thousands for talent to come from out of state, but not booking people that are local to them because it kind of, they see it as like this is a decision.
Yeah. And it's honestly their money and they can choose what they want to do with it. But at the same time, I would like to see local talent used on shows while still bringing in talent from the outside that could probably help your local talent grow.
Yeah, I think it's one of those kind of situations where like independent wrestling is growing so much and at such a pace that it is very much a kind of like rising tide brings up all ships kind of situation where like if everyone starts working together, and I'm sure this is a thing in the US as well, but like local promoters just don't seem to, for some reason, just don't like each other.
Yeah.
And so they just like refuse to work together.
I don't get it. It's just people at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is just people at the end of the day. But just like being there and having to deal with like, oh, okay, we should be working together to develop everyone, make this area like a a real center. But instead, you've got like someone that's got like their trainees, and they're like, "Hey, by the way, don't work for them. We don't like them. No."
And it's honestly, you should take any opportunity available for you if it's something you think is going to benefit you in wrestling. And just having people be like, "Oh, if you work for me, you can't work for them," and it's like, why can't I? And I understand to over like expose yourself when you're in an area so much that like the fans have just gotten used to you, and it's like, oh, I got to see them at this show, why am I going to go to this show too? I just saw them over here, I don't need to go over there.
See, I get that, but then also I just get the feeling of like, that's okay, but like I could see them twice.
I could see them twice. Me as a fan, I would be like, oh, my favorite wrestler's wrestling again? I want to go see him again.
Cool. So now as we get towards the close, I was given some questions by some lovely viewers, fans, etc. And I thought these would be some nice kind of quick fire-ish questions. Doesn't matter if they're quick or they're not, to go through. So we are going to start with the first one. Which wrestlers, past or present, and whichever one you decide you like more, would you love to wrestle or love to have wrestled?
My Mrs. T. My stutter is the worst right now. Ooh. Sorry.
Don't worry.
But I really want to wrestle Asuka. I find her very entertaining when I watch her wrestle, and I would like to learn from her and her wrestling style. Um, And then I would love to wrestle Millie McKenzie. I feel like she's one of the people I've always looked up to and find so entertaining. Um, And then Finn Balor. I just have a weird obsession with Finn Balor and the way he wrestles. I feel like we just would have a great match together.
Yep.
And that's definitely my hit list. And I chose all current, but in my head, I haven't really went back enough to watch old wrestling to say, oh yeah, I want to wrestle this older wrestler or this wrestler who passed away.
No, I totally get that. I also just love the idea of Billie Starkz versus Finn Balor. I feel that would be incredible.
Definitely some shenanigans.
Our next question that was sent in was your favorite match that you have seen live.
Ooh. I had to think about this. I haven't really. Oh, the tag match. So at AEW All Out, the Lucha Brothers versus the Young Bucks. It was the first time that as a wrestler, I went to a show and I was just sitting there and I completely wasn't breaking it down. I was just watching it for enjoyment and it was so entertaining for me. So I'll probably put that as my one.
That is an awesome place to start and end. Which wrestler had, or what is your favorite piece of wrestling gear? It can be your own, it can be another wrestler, or go as you like.
I love Anna's ring jacket thing that she wore out, and I found it so pretty. So I think that would definitely be one of my favorites. It was just so beautiful whenever I looked at pictures and stuff, and I definitely want to do something similar, but not a rip off of her stuff.
I can't remember the quote exactly. It's some artists borrow, good artists steal. Don't worry about it. It all works. And then the last one. Which place or venue would you most want to wrestle in?
Japan. Never. And it's just the way they train wrestlers. I feel like it's hard to get any better training than that when you first start out. So just watching it from my perspective, that's definitely where I would definitely want to go if any place in the world I could choose.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again so much for joining us, chatting with us, for being part of this amazing series.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope for everyone that has listened and watched and done all of that lovely stuff, you have gotten a nice little bit of insight into the life and the journey of an independent pro wrestler in this lovely time that we live in. I have been Dan of the Sweet Show My Podcast with Wrestle Buddy. This has been Billie Starkz. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye, everyone.